You know what? I guess y'all must have forgot.
This Saturday, Shakur Stevenson versus Artem Harutyunyan in Shakur's hometown of Newark, New Jersey. Now, y'all already know what it is. This fight has been building up, not building up, but it's been talked about happening. It's happening this Saturday, July 6th. A lot of people been talking about this fight. A lot of people been making certain comments. And first of all, before I get anywhere near this breakdown, and before my brother Mario gets anywhere near this breakdown, I've been seeing a lot of y'all talk real crazy about Shakur Stevenson, man. Look, let me go ahead, and this is really the Tank Maniacs that I'm talking to. So all the Tank Maniacs, you can get your little whole crowd, come sit down, crisscross applesauce, because I'm finna have a long conversation with y'all. All right, look, can we stop being such man fans to where a point where anytime Tank just says anything, we just all smoke and mirrors behind it? Tank said that Shakur ain't got no defense. Now y'all run with it. Are y'all literally forgetting that this guy put on a defensive masterclass against Oscar Valdez? Y'all are literally forgetting that this guy beat Jamel Herring, which a lot of y'all said Jamel Herring was going to beat Shakur. I didn't forget that. I got receipts. Y'all thought I forgot about that. I didn't. So he has one bad performance. And this is the problem with a lot of y'all boxing fans. A fighter have one bad performance. Now he trash. Now he bum. Now he butt cheeks. Y'all tend to forget all the fights Shakur have had in the past where he's literally looked marvelous. It's just ridiculous. Now, I said what I had to say about that. Now, before I pass it to you, Mario, I would like to also note too, for those of you who do know, and for those of you who may not know, Artem Harutyunyan is one of the previous opponents to Frank Martin, who just fought Tank Davis. Now, a lot of people actually thought Artem Harutyunyan won that fight. A lot of people felt like he did enough to get the edge and the nod, which kind of hints for this fight to happen. Of course, y'all don't know. You know, it was talks of Shakur Stevenson and Frank Martin actually supposed to be fighting, but things went, where Frank Martin didn't accept the offer of the contract. And then we ended up getting Tank Davis and Frank Martin. And now we got Shakur Stevenson and Artem Harutyunyan. So without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and get straight to this breakdown. Let me pass it over to you, Mario, and I'm going to come back with the initial breakdown.
Well, first of all, we're going to start off with Shakur Stevenson. Let me say this right now. Do y'all forget he beat Conceição, who is a former Olympic gold medalist? I mean, this guy has made a career off of great defensive performances. I'm sorry, but y'all go back, forget about the Edwin De Los Santos fight. Look, we're going to be the first ones to admit it. That fight was garbage, okay? And Shakur did not fight well, but y'all forget, did y'all not see the post-interview when he said it wasn't his best performance either? When he said there was no excuses? Now, he did say, unfortunately, I hate this excuse from boxers when they said I wasn't feeling well. Even if you weren't, don't say that, because they start picking on you and everything like that. Don't say that. Keep that to yourself, all right? That's the first thing. Second thing is this. Shakur Stevenson, I'm going to say this right now, and I don't care how many of y'all get mad, all right? He's the best defensive fighter in the game. I'm not saying in the division. No. I'm saying in the game. You understand that? Out of all the divisions, you put them together, he's the best defensive fighter in that game. I'm going to tell you guys this right now. This man, he's undefeated with over 20 wins. Not a single win has gone to split decision. This guy, I need y'all to answer something for me, okay? Point to one time, besides maybe even like the Olympics or whatever the case might have been. Even then, I don't even think he got hurt. Point me, just tell me one time Shakur Stevenson ever got hurt in the ring. Not backed up or anything like that. Tell me one time he got rocked. I'm all ears. And look, if y'all can provide the proof in those comments, I'll give y'all an apology right here, right now. Easily. But tell me when he got hurt. Tell me when he got rocked. You want to know why he doesn't get hurt or rocked? Because he's a defensive fighter. I'm saying that right now. For y'all who said all he does is run around the ring, that's all he did for the De Los Santos fight. But you forgot the Valdez fight. You forgot the Herring fight. You forgot the Yoshino fight. You forgot the Nakatalia fight. You forgot the Conceição fight. I mean, how many times are we gonna say this? Y'all are so recent memory, okay? You think about one fight and that's it. But you got to also remember that Shakur Stevenson has been the best or one of the best defensive fighters in the game for a very, very long time. But with that being said, let's get straight into the breakdown, okay? Shakur Stevenson, like I said, the biggest strength that he has is the defense. I mean, you think about it, the guy doesn't get hurt. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say he doesn't get touched, all right? But I mean, it doesn't happen a lot in his fights. You know what I'm saying? So I will say his biggest strength is his defense. What I like about Shakur Stevenson, he's a very patient fighter. He's not the type of guy that's going to go in there and bull rush you and throw over 300 punches in a fight or anything like that. He's the type of guy that's going to wait and pick and choose, and he's going to make sure he pick and chooses which shots to take. And let me tell you something, when he picks those shots, he don't miss. I mean, go back to the Yoshino fight. Yoshino would come in, head down, and Shakur Stevenson knew exactly what shots to hit him with and what shots to hurt him with. And I mean, you really think about it, man. Two knockdowns in that fight, and then the ref ended up stopping it because Shakur Stevenson was beating up Yoshino. And Yoshino, you guys also forgot, he was undefeated too. So he took the O away from Yoshino. Then he goes to fight De Los Santos, who was a very risky fighter to fight. And I know Shakur Stevenson said he didn't feel good. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna give Shakur Stevenson the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt that he wasn't feeling good and he had a rough performance. But I'm saying this right now. If he comes into this fight and he has that same type of performance, he's never gonna hear the end of it. And I'm gonna come on this podcast and I'll apologize to y'all right here and saying this new Shakur Stevenson sucks. But I'm gonna say this right now. Don't you guys be so one-sided. If Shakur Stevenson comes into this fight and whoops the dog breaks off of Artem Harutyunyan, all y'all Shakur Stevenson haters better give him an apology. I'm saying that right now because y'all can't be one way and then all of a sudden he proves y'all wrong and y'all are gonna keep sticking with the same narrative because y'all are haters. If he goes in there and he beats Harutyunyan, who is a very, very respectable opponent, I don't want to hear it. The other thing I will say is Shakur Stevenson, I think he's very good with kind of placing that right hook. I feel like that right hook is definitely a punch that Shakur Stevenson values. That jab he's got too as well. I mean, Shakur Stevenson, he's that type of guy that's gonna hit you with a nice 1, 2, 3 combo, and he's gonna make sure he slips out of it. The other thing as well is Shakur Stevenson, I really gotta respect how he's able to slick and dodge punches on the inside. Not many guys can do that. You know what I'm saying? But Shakur Stevenson, I mean, he don't care. You know what I'm saying? He'll stick on the inside and he'll slip those punches every day, all day, and twice on a Saturday, twice on a Sunday. Shakur Stevenson's the type of guy to start on the inside. You know, he's the type of guy to kind of study his opponent as the fight goes on. So when you really look at it, he doesn't take a lot of he doesn't take a lot of hard hits. And when he's on that inside, he knows how to slip those punches very, very well. He knows how to keep his guard. And honestly, you can compare it to Floyd Mayweather. I said it millions of times before. When we talk about fighters, we say never go back up against the ropes. Shakur Stevenson is one of the very, very few fighters that I could say he can go back against the ropes and I'm okay with it. Because Shakur Stevenson, he's so defensively sound that he could slip out of any situation he's in. It doesn't matter what part of the ring he's in. Shakur Stevenson's so defensively sound that I always know he's going to back out of it. He's got the whole defensive game broken down. Now, in his recent fights, you know, you could say maybe the power wasn't there, but I mean, Yoshino, he beat him. Conceição, he beat him. Oscar Valdez, he bloodied him real bad. I mean, so we're moving on to the 135-pound division, and you just had your fight with Yoshino where you dominated him, and then Edwin De Los Santos, you didn't have a great fight. So now we're kind of wondering which Shakur Stevenson are we going to get? Are we going to get the one that dominated Yoshino and basically had the ref come in there and break it up because he was going to do even worse damage to Yoshino? Or are we going to get the Shakur Stevenson who was running around the ring against Edwin De Los Santos? That's my question right there. And again, I want to say this one more time. We are not justifying the performance that he had against Edwin De Los Santos. What we are saying is that performance was terrible. It was dog crap. However, let's not be forgettable. Let's not forget what Shakur Stevenson has done in the sport of boxing. So I'm going to come out here and say this. I think his biggest strengths are that jab, the way he's able to be patient in his defensive boxing. Now, his weaknesses. I do think there are some times where he leaves that body open, and I think those are some shots where Harutyunyan can come in and maybe land a jab to the body and kind of mix up some punches. There were times where Edwin De Los Santos kind of pushed him back, and you could kind of see Shakur Stevenson wrapping up. Now, what I will say is this: he don't get hit a lot. He doesn't get clipped a lot, but when he does, you know, I feel like you could kind of put him in panic mode. The only problem is we haven't seen a fighter do that. Edwin De Los Santos had his moments where he kind of backed him up or he hit him. He didn't hurt him, but he had his moments where he backed him up and hit him. But when you really look at it, no boxer so far has been able to kind of break Shakur Stevenson. And maybe Harutyunyan's the guy, but I'm not so sure about that. So I will say his weaknesses is his body kind of leaves that a little bit open. And I do feel like there is a fighter out there who can kind of push the limits on Shakur Stevenson. And I'm honestly interested to see what Shakur Stevenson does when the limits are pushed. You know, Edwin De Los Santos didn't get the chance to do that, but maybe Harutyunyan is going to do that because Harutyunyan did that with Frank Martin, and Frank Martin had to step up in that fight. So I'm very curious to see how Shakur Stevenson is going to do if a fighter is pushing the limits on him. Now, with that being said, Breezy, let me pass it on to you. Give me your breakdown of Shakur Stevenson's strengths, weaknesses, and keys to victory.
Everything that Artem Harutyunyan is, Shakur is the very opposite of. Shakur can box you on the outside, can box you on the inside. He can fight with you if he want to. He's got really nice footwork. He sets his combinations well, places his feet right. And a point that Mario mentioned that I also like to mention too is that a lot of fighters, when they get Shakur on the ropes, they can't really do much with him. Why? Because of that foot move, that footwork, that defense. He's got very natural, slick defense within himself. He knows how to move. He knows how to counter. He knows how to counter punch you coming off the back foot, on the ropes, or in the middle of the ring. So either way, he has an impeccable jab too. And a lot of people don't forget. They forget when Shakur was really young. He was early starting off. Shakur body work was some nasty diabolical work. When Shakur was first coming in the game, I'm talking about long afro Shakur, long flat top afro Shakur. Shakur was tearing that body up, and he was getting a lot of stoppages from the body. So a lot of people tend to forget that he knows how to abuse that body. He knows how to find your weak spots. Not only that too, but he knows how to place the jab on you, set his combinations up too, and he also knows how to put you in uncomfortable predicaments. Now, what Mario did say about his weaknesses, I agree. The body tends to leave the body open too. But sometimes when he does leave that body open, he does tend to make up for it. But in the fight where, anything can go, you got to always try to be mindful of the body because the body is one of the weakest spots to take punch. We've seen in the past, especially with example like Jason Rosario when he took a body shot from Jamel Charlo, which was probably one of the most brutal body shots I've ever seen in my entire life of boxing. But you got to always be mindful of the body. Always got to be mindful of how you approach certain fighters and certain styles.
Bam Rodriguez just recently how he was able to knock out Juan Francisco with the body shot that he did, and that body shot was killer because he fell instantly. It wasn't one of those body shots where it was 2-3 seconds and then get on your knee. No, he dropped him cleanly with that body shot. So yeah, watch out for the body for sure.
Got to realize too is that look, at the end of the day, whether you like Shakur or not, whether you're a Tank fan, Haney fan, or Frank Martin fan, Artem Harutyunyan fan, Shakur is still a defensive lead threat to that division. You know what I'm saying? He gives a lot of those guys problem. And people got to remember, at the end of the day, when you get in there with Shakur, you're getting in there with a pure classic stylistic boxer. You're not in a ring with somebody that's going to come in there and try to swing for the heels and knock your head off and just throw and land something. No, he's very calculated. He's going to make sure every punch he throws is with precise. He's going to make sure every punch he throws it with bad intentions, but he's throwing it in spurts to kind of throw you off and make it very uncomfortable. So he sets his combinations right. He nice jab to the body, nice jab overall, can come up. A lot of people tend to forget Shakur does have a nice uppercut. I believe there was times in that Oscar Valdez fight, he was catching Valdez with that uppercut. So you got to watch out for that uppercut that Shakur has. Shakur has an uppercut that a lot of people don't tend to talk about. But as far as the weaknesses, he leave that body open. But as far as that, probably one of the best stylistic boxers today and probably one of the best boxers in that division right now.
Harutyunyan. See, Artem Harutyunyan, let me say this. He's got really, really good head movement. I mean, I was watching some of those previous fights that he had. That head movement's no joke. He knows how to slip those punches extremely well. The other thing about him too, killer body puncher. Killer body puncher. I mean, this guy knows. He knows exactly when to target that body, and he was doing it very, very well against Frank Martin as well. So I feel like him being such a very troubling body puncher, that could give him an edge against Shakur Stevenson. If he could land one of those body shots on Shakur Stevenson and kind of maybe tire him out throughout those later rounds, that might be something Artem Harutyunyan can lean to. The other thing about Artem Harutyunyan is he's got some very powerful hooks. Usually it's the right hook. There are some with the left, but the right hook I would feel like he favors a little bit more than the left. But make no mistake about it, he can knock you out with either one of those hooks. The other thing too with Artem Harutyunyan is I feel like he's that type of boxer who can box on the inside and the outside. I've seen times where he goes to the inside and he'll maybe land a three-punch combo and slip out. And then there's other times where I'll see him, when he gets active, he gets active. And I mean, he could be a very high volume puncher and he can also be a very good counter puncher. And we've seen that in a lot of his previous fights. But in the Frank Martin fight, I feel like that was a very big test for him because he didn't have a big test before Frank Martin. Now, when he had that fight against Frank Martin, a lot of people can go and look at that fight and they can look at how he was able to do his damage with Frank Martin. He was able to target Frank Martin's body. There were times where he was able to back up Frank Martin. And I feel like Artem Harutyunyan proved that he could hang with the best of them. Now, like you said earlier in this episode, a lot of people think Artem Harutyunyan won that fight. Towards the later rounds, Frank Martin started creeping up on him a little bit. If you notice, Frank Martin started actually using his power and backing up Harutyunyan. Now, that's the weakness. When Artem Harutyunyan gets pressured, like you see in the Frank Martin fight, all that slipping the punches, all of that targeting the body, the counter punches, all that goes out the window. If the power is too much, Artem Harutyunyan starts doing that cover-up stuff, starts leaning on the ropes. He'll start running away. I mean, there were a few times, maybe two or three times in that fight where Frank Martin really clipped him and he ran away and he had to back up and he had to compose himself. But the thing is, if we're talking about Artem Harutyunyan early in the fight, I mean, he's a very, very good boxer. And this is a guy that can definitely give Shakur Stevenson a run for his money and is definitely a guy that can test Shakur Stevenson on a good day. However, what Artem Harutyunyan has to do is he has to be prepared for all 12 rounds and he cannot be flustered if Shakur's power gets to him. Okay, because make no mistake about it, I know the record doesn't show, but we can't forget about Shakur Stevenson when that power starts clicking. We can't forget about it because Shakur Stevenson has proven in previous fights that he could pack a punch, and if he hits you, you're gonna figure it out. So I do feel like in this fight, Artem Harutyunyan is going to have to target the body very early. I do feel like he's going to have to be the guy to push the pace. But I also feel like Artem Harutyunyan needs to take advantages of times where Shakur Stevenson comes forward and start landing those counter punches. So for me, that is my breakdown of Artem Harutyunyan. Breezy, let me pass it on to you. Is there anything that you see from Artem Harutyunyan that I did not mention? And if so, because wait till I tell you these betting odds. These betting odds are crazy. If so, how do you see Artem Harutyunyan beating Shakur Stevenson or possibly giving him his first loss?
I didn't really see too much outside game from Artem. And I feel like with Artem, you're going to get in the ring with somebody like a Shakur. You're going to have to be able to box on all cylinders, that being on the outside, inside, box around, box in circles, and even at times be able to, you know, box him at his own game, okay? Because what Shakur is going to go in there and he's going to be calculated and he's going to break you down round by round. And what Artem is going to have to do, he's going to have to get up on him, start right away. What Artem is going to have to do is find the openings. Anytime Shakur is open, take those openings. Pressure him. A lot of people like to say, well, Edwin De Los Santos had Shakur running doing the track star dance. Well, I guess that's what Artem Harutyunyan is going to have to do is pressure him. They say pressure bust pipes, and Edwin De Los Santos didn't do too crazy, even with trying to pressure Shakur. So it's like maybe Artem can bring that different kind of pressure because a lot of people thought Frank Martin was going to make it an easy night. But even look at that fight, you see how much, it took for Frank Martin to kind of adjust to that style from Artem Harutyunyan. Another thing from Artem Harutyunyan, he throws these crazy wild open hooks. I don't know where some of these hooks come from. I don't know if they come from around the world, Chuck E. Cheese, back to the hood, from the library, from your nearest school. I don't know where these hooks come from, but they come from all the way around. And he throws these hooks, He throws him all the way around. I'm gonna tell you why that could be his biggest downfall. What if he tries that and Shakur backs up and he comes back with a hook? Because remember, he has a step back hook that he likes to use, or he'll come up with a hook, come up with an uppercut. So as he comes up with the hook, he backs up and he comes in with the uppercut. There's a lot of momentum for Shakur to counter that. His weakness is, throwing open shots that could lead to him getting countered. Because what is can anybody answer this question for me? If he's doing this, what is he leaving open? He's leaving all this open for Shakur Stevenson. And when you leave all that open, you're leaving all that open to be countered and possibly you getting knocked down or knocked out. Everything. The whole body. So his strengths, he's got nice body shots, very vicious to the body, you know, can be rough and rigged in the inside. But as far as it comes to the outside, I don't see too much outside work. And, when he throws his hooks, he leave all this open. And that's something you do not want to do with Shakur Stevenson. That's my breakdown.
I completely forgot to mention that I think is very crucial. If you go back and you watch that Frank Martin fight, the one thing Frank Martin was doing that Artem Harutyunyan just couldn't stop was cutting angles, was using his footwork and kind of moving on the outside of him and moving around him. When Frank Martin started cutting angles, Artem Harutyunyan couldn't find him. And I feel like somebody like Shakur Stevenson got the whole defensive boxing game locked down. Shakur Stevenson can do that all night and beat him 120 to 107 easily. So I feel like in this fight, if Shakur Stevenson just lands a nice little 2-3 punch combo and cuts the angle on Artem Harutyunyan is not beating him. Because by the time you find him and by the time you throw a swing, Shakur Stevenson's already got that blocked, he's already got that defended, and he already knows what the next punch is gonna be. So I feel like that's a big weakness as well. But I do love how Artem Harutyunyan is able to slip punches and bob and weave them as well. I do think they got some similarities, but overall they are two different fighters. Let's get to the betting odds real quick. Wait till you hear these. So we just did Teofimo Lopez versus Steve Claggett. Steve Claggett, a guy who had 7 losses and a guy who never had a title shot, basically a journeyman. Okay? And his odds were more favorable than Artem Harutyunyan. Listen to this. Shakur Stevenson is a minus 2,500 favorite. Artem Harutyunyan is a plus 1,420. So Artem Harutyunyan, the guy who gave Frank Martin a run for his money, the guy who only has 1 loss, is a bigger underdog than Steve freaking Claggett. I know Steve Claggett's the GOAT, just kidding. But how is that even math? How does the math add up, man? Okay, like please answer that for me. I don't understand how you guys are saying Artem Harutyunyan has got no chop. I don't understand that. Now, as far as odds, the most favorable odd would be Shakur Stevenson by points of decision. And then you go down the list, the least favorable odd would obviously be a draw, but besides a draw, the least favorable odd would be Artem Harutyunyan winning a decision. That's at plus 3,500. So you know what, Breezy? Let's go straight to the predictions, man. Artem Harutyunyan, Shakur Stevenson in Newark, New Jersey. Who do you got, and how do you see it ending?
New Jersey. We're going to see Shakur Stevenson put on a boxing clinic, and I'm confident when I say this, a stoppage around the 7th round to solidify himself as still that guy and remind people that in boxing, every fighter has an all performance. I think Artem Harutyunyan, he's going to try. He's going to have moments where he's trying to, go to the body, push Shakur back against the ropes. I just think Shakur footwork and defense is going to be too much for him. And I think it's going to kind of go like how the Ushini fight went. Accumulation of punches. I do believe he will get hurt in this fight. Not Shakur, Harutyunyan. And I believe Shakur going to finish him off pause in the 7th round. So give me Shakur Stevenson by 7th round TKO.
Finish off pause. I'm done. I'm done. Look, I really like that prediction, and I was gonna say knockout, but I'm a point behind you, man. So I'm gonna go Shakur Stevenson by decision. I do think he's gonna knock him down, okay? Because I can see both happening. I do favor the knockout a little bit more, but I'm gonna go decision. I'm gonna go Shakur Stevenson just dominates him in the decision. Maybe Harutyunyan gets a couple rounds. You know what I'm saying? But I truly think this is gonna be like a 7 rounds to 3 or an 8 rounds to 2. So I'm gonna go. Oh, my bad. No, I'm sorry. It's 12 rounds. 10 rounds to 2 or 9 rounds to 3. Excuse me. I did my math all wrong. So I'm gonna go Shakur Stevenson, unanimous decision. I do think he's gonna get one knockdown, and I think he cruises away with the victory. And like you said, proves that he is that guy.
I'm being generous when I say 10-2, but my honest it and my mind's telling me 11-1.
I mean, I could see it, man. I could see if he went 120 to 107. I could see it, but I don't think. I think Harrington, will get a couple rounds. I do believe that. I think he's going to get a couple rounds, but when you break it down, man, I mean, I can't see this being anywhere more close than 9 rounds to 3. I can't see it. I think Shakur Stevenson, I think he's better than Frank Martin. He might not have maybe the same power as Frank Martin, but I mean, when Shakur Stevenson's on, he is on, and I mean that switch is hard to turn off. So give me Shakur Stevenson unanimous decision with one knockdown. I mean, with that being said, Breezy, look, I'm not gonna tell y'all why you should subscribe to the Puncher's Point. I ain't want to say, but I will say this. All right. Y'all should definitely go and watch the videos, all right? I'm saying that right now. You do not want to miss these videos because, again, we be reading the comments, and we love that y'all be coming into the comments and be giving y'all opinion, whether you agree with us or don't. We all love that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to let y'all know this right now. We going to keep on giving our opinion. Every opinion we give is real. We're not coming in here and we're not giving opinions that we don't believe. We truly believe our opinions, and we truly believe that these opinions need to be spoken about. All right? I'm not saying we're always right. But at the same time, I mean, some people are just really too biased. And we got to make sure that we keep this boxing game balanced and fair. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of y'all forgot that Shakur Stevenson is really that good. And I think that we had to let y'all know and we had to remind y'all who this man is. In the wise words of Jay-Z, y'all must have forgot. Oh, excuse me. In the wise words of Roy Jones Jr., y'all must have forgot. How did I mix up one of the greatest rappers of all time with Roy Jones Jr.? Okay, I know Roy Jones Jr. had a couple hits back in the day, but in the wise words of Roy Jones Jr., y'all must have forgot. All right, so Shakur Stevenson is going to remind you guys on July 6th. With that being said, I'm going to say it one more time. Make sure y'all subscribe to the Puncher's Point. Make sure y'all continue to tune in and comment and give your opinions. We love to hear about them. And with that being said, make sure y'all stay on point with the Puncher's Point.